Question mark there means it's a provisional rating, so not played many games or not many recently. So 1565, good luck. That's just gone green. 56 games and that's all of my points. A relatively new account, so could be underrated, we'll find out. Had this earlier on against someone else. I went G3 that game, so I'll play D4, which is what I normally play. Okay. I could go either square here. Doesn't really matter. If you go here, there's always a potential for knight up, something like that. So I'll do this. If you go here, there's always a potential of a silly move and you lose your queen, of course, but it is rapid. So opponent's probably aiming for the same sort of idea. So I'm just going to spend a move on A3. I'll develop and I'll just develop. I'm not sure which pawn I'll push. Probably the E pawn, but I could go more traditional Reti style, even though it's not really Reti opening anymore. Okay, so he has gone there and allowed knight up. You do have defensive moves, but we might be able to get rid of his dark squared bishop. So I'm going to spend a move doing that, just create the threat. He does get a strong centre though if he trades the bishop and he can blast forward, so I've got to be a little bit careful. Just click on a square to clear the arrows and then get my cursor off the board so there's no slips. Yeah, it goes across to defend. I think I'm just going to go here. If I do bishop here though, you're vulnerable to a pawn push. So I've got to be a bit careful. Probably bishop to e2. Okay, kicks the knight back, so we will drop back. Here comes up. Okay, knight up as a move just gives your opponent a chance to make a mistake, and if bishop takes, you can also go with the pawn, but that might end up losing a pawn, so I'm just going to drop back. Fairly steady opening. Okay, knight comes forward. I've got a chance to take there then. If you go with a pawn, it creates an imbalance. Go with a bishop, I can chance the bishop. I think that makes sense to take there. Okay, now bishop up is probably sensible, and maybe we can get a strong center. Or if you go here again, there's always potential to push, but I can just trade. It's just something I'm kind of committed to then. I think I'm going to do it. Hope it's not a mistake. If it is, it is. Okay, takes. So I guess we just take back, open the file. If takes here, I've obviously got a choice, queen or pawn. Just getting clear the markings and cursor off the board so there's no slips. Does take, so obviously if I take with a queen, it creates an immediate threat to the pawn and if you castle, so you'll have to spend a move on h6. If I take with a pawn, got a nice strong center, and I could try and advance the pawn up. And I can also try this as well, so I'm favouring the pawn, so I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to end up castling this side anyway. So knight up is obviously a move, and then we can try and take and then plant a pawn. But once the knight's moved, obviously c5 is going to be a move. It's fairly balanced here, I would say. Again, just clear the markings. Has castled. So knight up looks a sensible move here. Takes. Obviously c5 can come. I think I'm going to play rook across first. Try not to burn the clock. I'm up on the clock, so try and keep a little bit of a time advantage. So apart from knight going forward, there's not a great deal else. If takes, you can still play c5. And maybe we can go forward, maybe we can challenge the pawn. Obviously I could potentially push this pawn up, but once I get to g5 I don't see what else I'm doing. Unless I can literally just go forward and sack it either way. Might be a possibility, let's see. Queen's come forward, so that kind of invites the pawn to go up the board. This pawn forward could be an idea as well, because I'm probably still going to castle this side. But that does kind of invite the pawn to go up with a potential tempo. Yeah, I like the look of that actually. Pawn up, and then I could even potentially go further forward, but ultimately it might come to nothing whatsoever. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and kick this queen. Obviously the queen's defending the pawn, preventing this push, so I'm going to potentially chuck a pawn up. If h6, I can potentially still do it. Or a move like knight forward, sack a pawn for some initiative. Ooh, launches one, okay. So there's a tempting sacrifice there. With knight to take, I can just push the pawn immediately. So I can get the pawn forward with tempo on the queen and say, where is the queen going? And we can maybe just take, knight takes here with a threat of a fork back. It feels like a good position, that to me. But it's giving up an exchange just for one pawn. I'm going to do it. I'm going to sack the exchange, take a risk, and try and grab the center ground. Queen takes or pawn takes is a move. I might be blundering here. It could be very, very bad. But I'm going to take here. You just got to watch out for a fork, or I could just get the material back. And then obviously I can potentially try and activate the queen, but not easy to do. So hits the pawn. So pawn up looks sensible. Not sure it is though. So maybe queen up here I'm looking at, just to guard this while I decide what to do. I'm going to go here just to make sure I guard the pawns. But I might actually just run the king across manually, push this pawn, and try and leave the rook on this file. I want to get the king out of the center. So I like the idea of doing something like this, and the rook's free to go either way. Launches indeed, so how do we deal with this? Yeah, like I said, it might have been a very bad blunder by me. Might have been. Actually, if the file opens up, I might be getting blown off the board here. I'm going to have to take, I think, and then just castle. I think I'm going to have to castle, aren't I? I really didn't want to, but I have to, otherwise the king's too vulnerable. It might have been a really bad sack what I've done. Might have given my opponent some very good odds here. Now, see, pawn up is the natural move here. Oh, I can't do pawn up. I'm blundering the queen. What the heck? Oops. I really have completely flubbed this one, haven't I? I'm going to have to drop the knight back. I didn't think this idea through well enough. So I should really be really struggling here now. If I can get the pawn in the middle without losing my queen, that would be good. Knight to d4 might be a move here now. Again, tempo on the queen. And it covers this square as well. Maybe releases the queen or the rook, but I'm going to find it difficult, albeit we might get the knight on f5. But yeah, kind of gone a little bit wrong with this game, I think. Okay, so goes back. So I'm just looking at the simple move now. Queen up. I don't see nothing else. I'm going to play it. I'm trying to stay up that little bit on the clock. You got to keep protecting this pawn. But knight here, and we might be able to put pressure on. I don't quite see how just yet, but we might be able to. Yeah, it doubles up the rook, so I can't really stop my rook from being traded here. So do I get the king up initially? Take, and try and grab a pawn. Or I can just play this move. If I play king up here, I guess you can try this, but right now it's covered. But I can't really stop this. So I'm going to play king up, I think, and hope I'm okay. If rook down now, I'll trade and I'll grab the pawn. But it could be very bad after the queen comes in. At least I've got ace square here. Let's just see what my opponent does. This square obviously is covered. I could get an exchange back. Yeah, the rook goes back. Oh, he's giving me that pawn then. Or she's giving me that pawn. But, ooh, is that deliberate? If I take the pawn, you can come here with a view to trying to come across at some point. So, am I better off a move like knight across and pawn here and trying to keep that on the board? Knight f5, g6 would be very weakening. Here, and then how do I get my knight here? But, here you can just go here. Maybe I can drop back. You might have to sack back. Oh boy, oh boy. Everything's telling me to take the pawn. I'm going to do it. It could be a mistake, this. Could be a mistake. Now, can I just go here? I'm going to go here. So obviously if you take, I'll take this rook. Then maybe just drop back. If you end up taking, then at least I've gained a pawn. So I think I go here now. I think I go here. If takes, queen takes, I can take here. And it feels like I'm doing okay again. But my knight's kind of not going anywhere now. The key squares have all been covered. But maybe I can plant the pawn here at some point and try and get the knight here. Right now, I've no idea how. Knight here is no good. What about queen up and trying to go for a queen trade? Or even here, but then you've got this. Can I maybe play king up then, actually? I'm going to go here. If queen across, I might risk king forward with a move like f4. And king forward covers the queen coming round. Very, very risky though. The rook goes back, so going a bit defensive. So what's wrong with a move like f4 then, with a view for this? I'd like to trade a set of rooks. I'm getting very low on time now. I'm going to launch the pawn. I'd like to actually trade a set of rooks, but I don't see how. But I've really weakened my king's defences here, actually, haven't I? This sort of potential. Wait, has that just blundered an exchange here? I might have had it the move before and just not seen it. What's wrong with this? I might have had it the move before and just not seen it then. I've weakened my king unnecessarily. But I'm up 2 pawns. If I get the exchange back, I'm just cleanly up 2 pawns. Albeit my pawns are maybe more difficult to defend than black's. So we're attacking the queen and the rook. I've pre-moved in case takes. Then I just need to find a way to be sensible and solid. Okay. Well, I can take either rook here, so does it matter? I think I'm just going to take this one and push this pawn and hope I can defend somehow, but these two are likely to fall. So there's one gone. So do I do this? No, I'm going to push. I'm going to try and blast through. Or plant a pawn here and get the queen around the back. If takes, I'll probably take back with the pawn. Just try and open the file. It's all about king's safety now. Now can I spend a move here? Again, I can take and open this file up, but instinct is to push. I'm going to trust my instinct and push the pawn. Try and do this and come around the back. The queen can come back, but obviously these two could be a real problem. Or I've just got queen here incoming and I don't have to push the pawn. But it would solidify, I guess. Whoa, that gives me a tempo to go here and hit the rook. But like I say, the queen can come back and defend here. So I'm going to go there and hit the rook. There is this, but there's queen. But can I deflect the queen with a move like rook across? If you take, I go here and you can't escape. And there's no obvious check. So rook to a1 could be strong here. Could be very strong. You've got to keep an eye on this. If you take the rook, I've got this. And there's no way to check apart from giving up the queen. So I think rook to a1 is strong here. Threatening this, which in turn threatens checkmate. And threatens to grab a pawn. There's no queen here. There is queen here though. I've just blundered, have I? Oh boy, have I just blundered and missed that? No, I think I'm fine because there's a checkmate threat. There's a back rank checkmate threat you need to see. But we're level material now, 4 and 4. Oh, you've missed it. Just missed the checkmate. That is so unlucky. Opponent has played so well there, haven't they, after I took that gamble. Very unlucky.